So, what exactly is MIDI? When you buy a MIDI controller or a MIDI keyboard, you're not buying a piece of hardware that's capable of generating sound in any way. A MIDI keyboard or MIDI controller is only capable of sending and receiving numbers. And I mentioned it's a language. And it really is, because all it's doing is telling the computer and these devices within the computer what to do at any given time. But I don't want you to think that just because a MIDI keyboard or controller isn't capable of generating any sound, that it's not an instrument. Your computer is an instrument. A MIDI controller can be an instrument. It's all about how you choose to use it. And I think I'll give you guys a couple of examples below inside the description, and you'll notice right away that these MIDI controllers are sometimes capable of doing a lot more than any one instrument could ever do in the past. But MIDI is all about control. When I click a key on my MIDI keyboard, what I'm doing is I'm actually telling the computer that I want that key, which corresponds to a number. So let's say A3 equals 60. When I hit that A3, what I'm saying is 60 on. Okay, and then it generates this note like so. When I let go, off, etc., etc. And MIDI also can tell the computer and the instrument a lot of other things. It can say, how hard am I hitting it? Velocity. If I hit it and I hold a little bit longer, is that going to do anything to the sound? Aftertouch. And the examples go on and on and on. And you can do more research into the MIDI protocol and figure out exactly what MIDI is capable of doing. But I don't want anybody to get confused and to think that a MIDI keyboard is actually anything like an acoustic keyboard. Also, notice that with this clip here, all we have are a bunch of lines, and these are notes. There's no actual audio file right here. There's nothing physical. And if I go in and I delete and cut out some of that first note, we'll notice as I play back, we're not able to hear the beginning of that. And why is that? Well, the computer's confused. It doesn't know that that's a note on message. We're coming in the middle. All it's having is this note off message, and that's not having any kind of effect at all. What I can also do with MIDI is I could very easily create a new instrument track, option click, bring this down, and now using the simple instrument, we can play exactly what we were able to play with the piano above. So let's get in here and do a little bit of MIDI editing. So the other great thing is if we play something and screw it up, this is all just numbers. There isn't any audio attached to it. So we can move things around at will, add additional notes, take things away, adjust the velocities freehand if we want. And that's probably what you'll end up having to do a lot in Soundation. Remember, our buffer setting is so high, so accurate play-ins and recording takes is going to be rather difficult. But I'll zoom in here, and I want you to see that I played pretty off the grid. We can see the 2 here indicating the downbeat, the 3 indicating the downbeat, and my guess is that's probably where I wanted to play this, but I did a pretty bad job of it if we go back and listen against the metronome. Yikes, not very good. I could just click on these notes and drag them around to try to snap them into place, but I have another feature I can use, and that's the quantize feature. We'll get into these swing modes in a later video, but for now let's focus on these sort of straight modes to begin with. So if I want, I can drag, select all of my notes at once, and select quarter. And what this is going to do is it's going to snap all of these notes to the nearest quarter note. And you can see that it's done that there. So now if we go back and listen with the click, and maybe that's not really what I wanted, so I can undo that like so. Why don't we choose half note? And notice the drastic difference that made. It really pushed a lot of things forward, although it also put these 2 notes to overlap on each other because they played too close together. That actually sounds a little bit closer to what I had in my mind, but again, it's not perfect. So I think what I'll do is take these first 3 notes, I'll quantize those to the nearest half note. I'll take the last one, quantize that to the nearest half note. And then I'll take these two guys, I'll highlight them, I'll zoom in a little bit, scroll on over. And then with these, I'm just going to click and drag over, okay? And I can put them right on the bar. I can put them a little bit off the bar. It doesn't really matter too much. And now if I zoom out again, head back to the beginning and click play. Ooh, that little part doesn't sound too good. Let's listen to it again. And we can go in here and we can just kind of move these around a bit freehand and try to get the timing like we want it. Can pull that forward maybe. That sounds a bit better, but now we're having this overlap here. And that sounds a little bit too abrasive. So what I want to do is actually decrease the size of this note. And to do that, it's real easy. I'm just going to select the note, going to hover over to the far right and just pull this back ever so slightly. This is where MIDI can be a pain because you have the ability to kind of get your performance to be absolutely perfect. And so you'll always be going back and kind of listening and being like, I don't like that too much. So this is another one of those games of patience. There is no time limit to this. That sounds pretty good. I can zoom out again and go back to the start. And let's take a listen. Okay, so I'm happy with that. The next thing I want to do is trim the length of this particular MIDI clip here. It's a little bit too long, and when I open this up, I can see the beginning of that, and I'd probably like to start this right at the beginning. So what I'll do is I'll click from here, and I'll drag it like so. And that's exactly the same with what we saw with audio clips. And the top one, you guessed it, it's going to loop this MIDI clip again and again and again. But now I can just take it, drag it back to the start, and we're good to go.